to call to order the Board of Appeals for the City of Laurel, their 342nd meeting. Welcome. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Whitley, Mr. Lee,
Present.
Mrs. Les,
Here.
Mrs. Collins,
Present.
Chairwoman Chanot.
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you. Item number 2 is approval of the minutes from the meeting, last meeting, February 23rd, 2017. May I have any changes or a motion to approve?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the meeting as presented, the minutes as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Here we go.
Mr. Lee,
Yes.
Mrs. Les,
Yes.
Mrs. Collins.
Yes.
Chairwoman Chanot.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Well, we have a big sign-up sheet, too, so this is going to be a little interesting this evening. Item number 3 on our agenda is special exception application number 869, resolution number 17-02-BOA-13700 Baltimore Avenue, filed by T-Mobile, requesting approval of the special exception to install 6 panel antennas, 1 microwave dish, and associated support equipment with cabinet on the roof of the Fairfield Inn building. May I have a reading of the record, please?
Good evening, Madam Chairman and board members. The applicant, T-Mobile, is seeking special exception approval to install 6 panel antennas, 1 microwave dish, and associated support equipment, including an equipment cabinet on the roof of the Fairfield Inn by Marriott, located at 13700 Baltimore Avenue, Laurel, Maryland. The property was constructed in 1988 and is zoned Industrial Research Technology Park. The property is bordered by Industrial Research Technology Park to the north and south, Industrial Commercial Service to the west, and Prince George County to the east. Staff recommends that the City of Laurel Board of Appeals approve special exception number 869 with the following conditions. Number 1, the applicant shall provide a letter from a structural engineer stating that the roof can support the load of the proposed telecommunications facility. Number 2, the applicant must provide a letter from a structural engineer stating installation are as per plans. And number 3, the applicant shall obtain appropriate City of Laurel permits prior to the installation of the telecommunications facility. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any questions of staff? Any questions of the applicant? Should we have them up to discuss? Please, would you come to the podium and give us your name and address for the record?
Yes, good evening. Sean Hughes from Millen, Maryland, Canby, and Rockville, Maryland, on behalf of T-Mobile. Thank you. We'd just like to first say thanks for hearing us, and appreciate the support and guidance from staff, especially Mr. Grace. We certainly think they did a nice job on the staff report, and we support the 2 conditions. We have no issue with those conditions. I do have 2 representatives here in case you have questions for any of us. We haven't had any comments. I don't think staff has. I don't think anyone's here tonight. I can just offer up to answer questions, unless you want us to go in more detail about the project.
Any questions?
I don't have
No? Any questions about the specialists? Any weight?
No.
They're going to bring in the specialist to make sure there's no damage, so. So structural, everything's good. All right, then. Well, thank you for coming to the podium.
Thank you.
And spending the evening with us.
Appreciate it.
With that, then, board members, may I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I make a motion for approval of the application resolution of application 869 and resolution number 17-02-BOA.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Lee,
Yes.
Mrs. Collins.
Yes.
Mrs. Les.
Yes.
Chairwoman Chanot.
Yes, and we also say with the conditions that the Planning Commission made.
Yes.
Right, okay. All right. So yes.
Okay. Motion carries.
Thank you. There you go. Thank you. Item number 4, special exception application number 871, resolution number 1703 BOA for 6901 Van Dusen Road, Andersons Corner, filed by Ribera Andersons Corner, LLC, requesting approval of a special exception to construct an automobile filling station and 5,370 square foot convenience store to be known as Royal Farms. All right. May I have a reading of the record, please?
Yes. The applicant, Ribera LLC, is seeking special exception approval to construct an automobile filling station and convenience store to be known as Royal Farms, located at 6901 Van Dusen Road, Laurel, Maryland. The 2.03 acre site is parcel B, the commercial component of Andersons Corner. The applicant also applied for MXT final site and landscape approval and sign waiver approval simultaneously with the special exception application. Both applications were approved at the May 9th Planning Commission hearing, contingent upon the applicant obtaining special exception approval. The subject property was annexed into the city in 2008 and placed in the R5 zone. However, the applicant received map amendment approval to place a property in the MXT zone and received concept MXT plan approval on November 14th, 2011. The MXT zone convenience store uses are permitted use by right in the MXT zone. However, the automobile filling station requires special exception approval. The proposed rural farm development will include 5,370 square feet convenience store, 8 multi-product gasoline dispenser units, 16 fueling pumps, 61 on-site parking spaces, enclosed 8-cylinder dumpster and recycle container, designated sidewalks, appropriate utilities, landscaping, lighting, and stormwater management and draining facilities. The use will operate 24 hours per day, 7 days a week. According to the needs analysis, there's a need for an automobile filling station for the proposed location in the city. There currently is a great deal of new construction occurring, which will result in increased citizens. Between the West Side Development, Avalon Bay, and Laurel, there will be 869 new residential dwelling units, less than a mile away from the proposed automobile filling station. The proposed use will also provide services to commuters and residents that frequent Van Dusen Road and Cantera Drive. In addition, Royal Farms will catch travelers along the I-95 corridor. There are 10 automobile filling stations located in the city of Laurel. However, the sites listed below are older, have small convenience stores, if one at all, and are located in smaller tracts of the land. If approved, this will be the first Royal Farms located within city limits. It is recommended that the City of Laurel Board of Appeals approve special exception number 869 with the following conditions. The applicant shall obtain all proper City of Laurel permits prior to construction of automobile filling station convenience store. The applicant shall adhere to obtain any necessary permits required by Maryland State Highway Administration for work conducted on the state-owned portion of Van Dusen Road. The applicant shall modify the island located on Anderson's Way to accommodate left turns exiting the property prior to the issuance of the use and occupancy permit. The applicant shall comply with all applicable federal, state, and local laws, regulations, and ordinances. All regulations are as set forth in the City of Laurel NORS ordinance must be met, followed at all times. The convenience store portion of development project shall be sprinklered, and the applicant shall make adjustments to the fit and finish facade of the building consistent with that of the neighborhood, community, and adjacent buildings. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else from staff on this? No, that's it? Okay, just checking.
I'm going to bring it up, don't worry.
I'm not sure.
Where is this in relation to the hospital? Trying to get a picture of where it's at.
It's further down Van Dusen, so the hospital's on the north side of Cherry.
Okay, all right,
It's kind of the quarter of Cantera and Van Dusen.
okay.
All right, well, we have a number of people to speak on this item number, agenda number. So, not sure who wants to come up first.
I think that would be me.
Mark?
My name is Eric DeVito.
No? Okay.
I am the attorney representing the developers of the project, and I think all the other folks signed up are all with us. So don't, maybe Mr. Steer might say a few words, but I'll be the lead on this presentation. So And really, I have some slides, actually electronic, that if they want to put them up on the board. I have some handouts that I can walk through with you for any other details, or if you want to just take questions. I'm happy to do it any way you want, but I do have some more graphics that you can look at, and we can talk through some things, or if you would prefer to not go through those formalities, I can just simply answer questions. It's really up to you.
Okay, well, let's start with questions. Questions?
Yes, I have one. I'm sorry, did not catch your name. I so apologize.
My name is Eric DeVito.
Eric DeVito from Mr. DeVito, but I have one for staff first. That was a great report, and you usually put accurate numbers in the report. My main concern is about the height of the signage. There was some discrepancy at the planning board, and I did not see what the compromise height was in our report, and I think that's important that we get that number down in there.
Okay, so if my understanding, they're going to maintain the 25 feet, and the discrepancy at the planning commission was that it's 5 feet lower than at the height of the road. So to compensate for the loss in essentially height to make up, that's why it's still going to be 25 feet for the height of the sign.
Then I want to be clear about that. So what I don't want to see, or what the citizens don't want to see, is a sign that sticks up like the Washington Monument above those nice, pretty apartments and complex we just built. Right. So the 5 feet will drop that sign down a little bit. Is that what we're saying?
Well, I'd be happy to address it.
Yes.
What was discussed at the Planning Commission and what happened is the net effect of the sign will in essence be 20 feet, which is your sign ordinance. It will look like 20 feet because the site drops off the road by 4 feet. So basically the 25-foot sign that they build will in essence, in relation to the road, be a 20-foot sign. And then the concession that was made is they agreed to do some stone facing, some other details to dress it up to make it look like a much nicer sign. That was the concession that came out of the Planning Commission. We agreed to dress the sign up, face it in stone, then they agreed to the 25-foot height of the sign, which the net height would be roughly 20 feet, though, because of the property.
Thank you. Madam Chair, do you see my concern if we don't frame the language that way?
I agree with you because the sign is still 25 feet.
And if they put it 25 feet above the 4 feet, then we'll have 29 feet, and that won't sit well with a lot of people. So that's I just want to make sure.
The sign will be 25 feet, period. It will not be.
From the 4 foot drop.
Right, but I mean, the sign itself will be 25 feet.
Right,
and
that's
when
what
it's
we're saying.
when it's placed at grade,
At grade.
it'll be placed at grade, though, which is 4 feet below the road.
No,
We
and
understand what
get-
you're saying, we
yes.
just don't, we want to be sure it's placed where
Right.
where you're saying it is, so it will
Oh,
visually.
I understood. Yeah,
Right.
so, and I think we provided a graphic with our site plans where the sign location would be, where that 4 feet would be. So I believe that as part of the site plan approval, our sign location's already predetermined.
Well, staff, I just want to make sure that we're all on the
Just so the
same.
board is aware, the sign waiver technically is not before you all. You're certainly within your realm of authority in requesting information about it, but that issue was essentially resolved at the commission level.
No, I'm just getting clarity. I understand. Just getting
that. I
clarity.
just wanted the board to know that the waiver issue technically is not before you this evening.
Okay.
Thank you, Brian.
And with that, I mean, I think it might be helpful if you want. I'd be happy to pass out sort of this exhibit packet that I have,
Love to see it.
like, fiberglass and things.
Is this different than the one we received?
When do you anticipate,
There's some
It's a little
photos in there that I would like you to show you.
Okay.
I'm not going to go through every one in detail, but there are a couple things in here that I think would be helpful.
thank you. If all goes well, when do you think you would start?
Mr. Engineer, when do you think we would have full approval to be able to?
It's probably going to be 6 to 9 months.
Okay. So once we have approvals, we'd be breaking ground, basically, so 6 to 9 months.
Length of construction? Engineer?
1 month?
Or it could be 6 to 8 months.
6 to 8 months?
Okay, thank you.
And some of the infrastructure is already in place. I mean, to back up a little bit, and I actually represented the apartment complex as well. This is part of a mixed-use development. We were involved with the apartments. They're fully aware that the Royal Farms is coming. We actually have a reciprocal agreement on landscaping features and other screening features that we have to do that the apartment owners are comfortable with, because this is the commercial component of the mixed use that goes with the apartment complex. So they're fully on board. They understand exactly what's happening. There are additional enhanced landscaping and buffering features between the private parties about how this has to look, which have been incorporated in the site planning. So this is the last step of the Andersons Corner project. It's always been envisioned as this. It's been envisioned for quite some time, and this is the last piece. So as soon as the approvals come, it'll be built, and then that corner will be finished. So the package that we have in front of you is slightly different. The second page is just the development team. I will say Jeff Bainbridge, who represents Royal Farms, was here at the Planning Commission. His son is in the hospital. Could not be here tonight because he had to be with his son. He did say if anything came up that you needed Royal Farms question on, I could get him on the phone, possibly, but he apologizes, obviously, but last minute and unexpected to not be here.
Hope everything goes well.
As we all do. The third page, which is just an aerial of the site, and I'm trying to think, I don't think the hospital's on this larger aerial for your question earlier, but you might get a better sense.
I was just trying to place in my mind
Right.
where it was going to sit.
There's some very detailed pages about special exception criteria. I'm not going to read them all. There are 5 basic special exception criteria, and here are the detailed ways of where you meet it. There are also, in addition to the special exception criteria, there are 8 primary criteria just for automobile filling stations to meet the special exception. Those are laid out in this exhibit package. Some of the bigger ones are obviously traffic.
Yes.
Mr. Keeley from Traffic Concepts is here, performed the traffic analysis, concluded that the roads would continue to operate at acceptable levels, that it is consistent. There are a lot of and Mark, you correct me if I'm wrong, he found that a lot of the trips would be bypass trips, commuter trips already using the roadways anyways, and this would be a convenience use because of that. The needs study is critical for gas stations and part of the special exception. Mr. Ed Steer, Lipman, performed the needs study. I'd actually like him to come up real quick. If he could just give a 2-minute summary of his needs study, I think that would be useful or worthwhile.
That would be fine.
If you wouldn't mind coming up now and just giving a brief summary of what you reviewed and your conclusions.
Can we have your name and address for the record, please?
Okay, I'm Ed Steer. I'm with Lippman, Frizzell, and Mitchell, 6240 Old Dobbin Lane, Suite 140 in Columbia, 21045. I was engaged in this task to address the need for an automobile filling station, and as the code states, that a need exists for the proposed filling station for service to the population in the community, considering the present availability of such a use to the community. And B, a need exists for the proposed filling station due to an insufficient number of similar uses presently available to serve the existing population concentrations in the city. And C, that the use at the proposed location will not result in a multiplicity or saturation of similar uses in the same general neighborhood. So I went out and, as part of my analysis, and inspected the site and the site plans, but also created a trade area to see what else was there in the area that would serve the community right now. I think you had a map up there before that came out of my report. Yeah, it's a little distorted, but Actually, I'll interrupt for 1 second. On the presentation you have, there are 2 maps. I actually added a little graphic, circle graphic to show you where the existing ones and the subject site. There are 2 maps and what you have in front of you.
Yes.
Mr. Steve,
yeah, there's a map. It looks like a spider web of what we determined was a 10-minute drive time from this site, or to this site, either way you want to look at it. That extends from the Beltway to more or less I'm trying to make sure I don't mess it up. Route 198. I'm sorry. Yeah, and to the north, to the west, you had Route 29. The drive time gets longer along the highways because you're going faster. And so what we found in that is that, of course, in the city of Laurel, there's 10 other gas stations. But outside the city of Laurel, there were 31 other gas stations. But south of Laurel, there's a great distance to where most of them are. And so that 10-minute drive time is ideal circumstances, which we rarely find anymore in DC metropolitan areas. So, during peak hours and weekend heavy traffic, the 10-minute drive time space actually contracts. And we and several of those gas stations that were down near Beltsville will drop off from being competitive. And those stations are serving a different market that's within 10 minutes of them. So in the process of all that, we found a net unmet demand of, where did I have there? It was, sure, give you the right number. We had a net demand, a total demand of 61.8 million gallons per year, and we had an unmet demand of roughly 2.5 million gallons per year. So the trade area is the important part that I had in mind. The competitive supply, as I pointed out, you had those 31 stations outside the city, but all that unmet demand is going to stations outside of the city. So what we have in the city are 10 gas stations. You have one in the pipeline, a Wawa, that's not constructed yet. That would be very competitive with this property. But most of the rest of the fueling stations in the city of Laurel are obsolete, or not obsolete, but their standards of construction are not what they are nowadays. It's tight to get through them. They don't have large convenience stores. They're on roads that aren't accessible to the highway, like this would be close to Route 95 and Conterra Drive. So it serves the city of Laurel well. They serve the city of Laurel well. This will serve the expanding city of Laurel better, and that would be to actually a community benefit rather than having to leave the city of Laurel to find the same products. So that, in a nutshell, the important thing here also that I needed to point out is directly across the street from this is the Conterra development, which is proposing another 4,500 residential units and 3.8 million square feet of offices that there aren't any gas stations serving right now. This site would be on a road that intersects with the Conterra development. So my numbers have calculated an unmet demand today, but as Conterra gets built, there will be a greater unmet demand that'll be evident as every day goes by. I can answer any questions you want.
Any questions?
No.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
As I mentioned in the maps that Mr. Steer was referring to are in the exhibit pack that I have in front of me. You can see the 10 stations he was referring to in the big circle, and then the subject site is the little circle down off the left, pretty much all by itself. The last, before I'll conclude the sort of formal presentation part of it, I do want to address the last condition that Nathan mentioned about working with the fit and finishes in the facade of the adjoining apartments. And what I have for you now that we didn't have for the Planning Commission, and that was our error, but we just weren't able to get them together quick enough, is we actually have a picture of what the facility will look like, the actual colors. I think staff was concerned when they saw some renderings that they thought it was greenish. They thought the color scheme was just not what it was. But we've provided these images, which is exactly what this facility is going to look like. This is the latest and greatest Royal Farms that they build. They've spent a lot of time and effort on this color scheme and these architectural features. And the page after this, I have actually overlaid pictures of the actual apartment complex. And so you can tell that the architectural details are incredibly similar. The color scheme is very compatible. And we are working with Christian and staff to sort of get them comfortable that we do already meet that compatibility standard. We were exchanging comments today. I think Christian's was pleased when she saw this picture and she feels more comfortable. We'll continue to talk to them, obviously. We'll make sure the city's happy. But I feel pretty confident that the way it looks today, it actually complements it very well. And the way it's existing is designed with the stone, the brick, the hardy plank siding. That's not vinyl siding or aluminum. That's hardy plank siding. The gables and all the other features that they've put a lot of time and effort in. We're pretty happy with it, and hopefully staff will agree that it looks good as it is, and that's our goal, obviously. So The last page, the other page that I have in here, and I apologize it's not in color, but that's some of the stone detail we were talking about on the sign. We didn't have a picture of it because it's something that's relatively new they agreed to do for the city. They haven't done that other places, but they will do it. And so the architect mocked up a rendering of sort of what that stone facade would look like. So that's what's included here. And you know, they're obviously happy and willing to do that for the city based on the planning commission. So I will leave it there, and I'm happy to take any further questions. Like I said, we have our traffic analyst. We have Mr. DePietro, who's our consultant as well here, who can answer questions, our civil engineer. But I will conclude our presentation with that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Keeley. I mean, it's been pretty much approved all along. It's just that, and I can respect the need for it in that area and the coming need for it. But when something is open 24 hours, you have lights on and you have traffic and you do have some noise. The use will not create, but the references all say that there is no traffic hazard or traffic nuisance. So I guess we don't really have any objections at this point to in my opinion.
No, I think you're right. I think you're correct. I think they've built out the road space over there to handle the additional traffic for the units that they're projecting. So I'm okay with it.
Okay, and Royal Farms does an excellent job. You know, we know that.
You see when they're always very nice and well kept.
Yeah, yeah, they are an addition to the community.
And they have great chicken.
And I've heard they have
Absolutely.
great chicken. I have never tried it, but I'm going to try it soon. But I have heard that. My son says it all the time.
Yes.
So anyway, are there any more questions, or is there anything else you would all like to discuss? Or?
No,
No?
they've clarified the sign now. so-
Okay. All right. Then, is there anyone here that would like to speak in reference to this?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'm sorry. We skipped a step with the reading of the record.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so Mr. Grace is going to go ahead and get that on the record just so everything's clear.
Okay, great.
All right. Special exception application number 861 was filed on March 24th, 2017 by Ribera Andersons Corner, LLC, 2661 Ribera Road, Building 300, Suite 340, Annapolis, Maryland, 21401, requesting approval to construct a Royal Farms automobile filling station, including a convenience store with associated parking, drive aisle, and landscaping. The property is zoned MXT. Under date of March 28, 2017, the application and a cover letter asking for comments were sent to the following agencies: Maryland State Highway Administration, Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission, Prince George's County Health Department, Maryland Department of Planning, Baltimore Gas and Electric Company, the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, Prince George's County Department of Public Works and Transportation, Verizon, Prince George's County Public Schools People Accounting and School Boundaries, the Prince George's County Public Schools, the Department of Capital Programs, the City of Laurel Department of Public Works, the City of Laurel Police Department, the City of Laurel Department of Parks and Recreation, the City of Laurel Office of Fire Marshal and Permanent Services. The following agencies' responses were received. On March 29, 2017, the City of Laurel Office of Fire Marshal and Permanent Services concerned regarding one entrance and exit for the site. On March 31st, 2017, the following responses were received. The Maryland National Capital Park and Planning, no comments. The Prince George's County Public Schools Department of Capital Programs, no comments. And the City of Laurel Police Department concerned regarding only one entrance and exit at the site. On April 4, 2017, the City of Laurel Department of Parks and Recreation had no comments. On April 10, 2017, the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission stated the impact of the project would be negligible. On April 14, 2017, the City of Laurel Department of Public Works submitted comments that have been made part of the official record and included in the technical staff report, and no other agency responses were received. On April 6, 2017, a letter explaining the nature of the application and advising of the scheduled public hearings on the application before the Planning Commission and Board of Appeals were sent by certified mail to all contiguous property owners. All return receipts were received. A memorandum from the City of Laurel Planning Commission to the Board of Appeals dated May 10th, 2017 read as follows. At the regular meeting of the City of Laurel Planning Commission held on May 9, 2017, the following action was taken on the subject zoning application. Mr. Wilson made a motion to recommend approval of the special exception application number 861 for 6901 Van Dusen Road for Aurora Farms with conditions listed in the technical staff report dated April 24th, 2017, with the addition of the following condition. The applicant shall work with staff to make adjustments to the finish and facade of the building as deemed necessary by staff. Mr. Wilford seconded that motion, and Acting Chairman Kish cast a final vote of yes. The file contained a certificate of publication verifying that this application and public hearing was advertised on May 11, 2017, issued the Prince George's Sentinel. The file contains an affidavit signed by the applicant attesting that a zoning sign had been placed on the subject property and remained and shall remain until a decision is reached by the Board of Appeals. That concludes the reading in the file, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you. Can I just ask one clarification? And I think it was just a slight mistake. You had mentioned application number 861, but it is actually
871.
Just wanted to confirm. Okay, fine. Thank you. All right. Then we have everything on the record that we need to have on the record?
Yes, Madam Chair.
All right. If there are no other discussions of the applicant, may I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I hereby move that we adopt the findings of fact and conclusions of laws outlined in the technical staff report for application number 871 and move approval of resolution number 17-03-BOA as presented.
Thank you. May I have a second?
A second.
Thank you.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mrs. Les?
Yes.
Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
Chairwoman Chanot?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Good luck. I'm sure you'll do very well. Does anybody know about what's going on with Wawa? Does anybody know what's going on with the Wawa gas station?
We're still waiting for the
Still?
decision
Oh,
from
my
the court.
goodness. Okay, well, with that, then we'll adjourn the meeting.
They had the hearing.
Yeah, they had the hearing. We're just waiting for a decision.
Yeah, I thought the judge had it in his corner last we heard in February.